You know, I've been doing television a long time, and I just think people in the broadcasting business just make up titles for themselves. I don't even know what this guy's last name is. I don't know what he's called, but I know we couldn't do the show without him. Or so I've been led to believe. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Jack.
Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you on this side.
You're hanging out over there. I don't even know what you do. I don't even know what you're called. I don't even know your last name.
I just press a few buttons over there.
Is that all you do?
Help Donald out a little bit.
I press a few over here, so we do have a couple of things in common.
There's a little bit in common there.
Yeah. Well, good having you on the show. Good having you behind the scenes. We'll dig a little deeper in the well. What is your official title? Technical?
Tech director, I guess you'd say.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay, tech director. What does that mean?
The guy that sets up and punches all the buttons, I guess.
Okay.
You know? Donald's our main director. He's the guy that's calling all the shots. So I'm punching the buttons and doing what he's telling me to do.
All right. Okay. That's good. That's how you stay gainfully employed in America today.
Exactly.
Do what the boss says.
Uh-huh.
It's a lesson for you. Economics 101. Last name, because I butcher it all the time. Is it Bischoff?
Bischoff. Yeah, you got it right.
For the first time ever, and it happened here with you on the show.
And most
today.
people don't. So
because it's kind of weird. It's one of those names. It's kind of like you know, do we call it Beaufort or Buford?
Yeah, exactly. It's just the CH in there. Everybody wants to see that and go shh, you know. So it's silent. It's silent. So it's Bischoff, which I'm used to it. So when everybody mispronounces it, I'm just
you
like,
just let it roll.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to get technical.
Nah.
With you being a technical director, which is kind of strange.
Good connection.
Well, where did you grow up, Robbie? I mean, I've seen you around for a few years.
I grew up mostly here. I mean, I was born in Alabama, but I was only there for like a year or two.
No way. Well, what part of Alabama?
Mobile.
Sweet.
Although I remember nothing about it.
Because you were young at the time.
I do remember some of Texas. I lived in Texas for a little bit.
Whereabouts?
Corpus Christi.
Oh, wow. You've always kind of like been around water, haven't you?
Yeah. Close to the coastline has always kind of been our thing. And then we moved to Myrtle Beach in, I think, '85. So I've been here ever since. Went through all my schooling here and my beginning of my career here as well.
Unbelievable. Well, what got you into this business? I mean, what made Robbie want to get in television?
Oh man, I watched a lot of television when I was young, obviously, and I kind of had an obsession with the local news back in the day, like the late '80s.
Was it because of a certain anchor woman, or?
No, actually, it was because of Hurricane Hugo, believe it or not.
Okay,
when Hurricane
89.
Hugo rolled ashore in '89. I watched religiously a lot of coverage from the ABC affiliate WPDE, and the meteorologist Tom Sorrells at the time had just spoken to my school a couple weeks before that, and like.
Now, how old were you then?
Oh my goodness, I think I was like 6 or 7 years old. It was somewhere around there. Yeah.
Wow.
But I just really got into the coverage and into that, and at first I wanted to be a weatherman, and that was my thing for a long time, and that led me to Ed Piotrowski at WPDE, and he had actually gone to high school with my sisters back in Texas where I lived before, so we turned on.
Did you have military in your family? I mean,
yes.
Because
my dad's Coast Guard. So,
okay,
yeah.
and so I think Ed's got ties to the Marine Corps or something.
Yes.
Okay.
So he knew my sister in Texas, and all of a sudden we turned on WPD one day, and there he was doing the weather. And
I mean, how well did he know your sister?
Oh,
I mean,
he knew my oldest sister pretty
date?
well.
Did they share popcorn at the movie?
The understanding was that he had a crush on her, but that's always the joke.
Wow.
So, we always kind of joke around about that. But eventually it led to them kind of connecting me to him, and I started interning for him. I think it was around '97. It was late '97.
How do you intern for a meteorologist?
Well, believe it or not, when most people hear internship, they think you're the guy that goes and gets the coffee or whatever. But when you intern with Ed Piotrowski, he throws you to the dogs. I was creating weather maps and running live shots for him. When he'd go out live, I'd push the buttons to run his weather maps and stuff. And I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world at the time. I was still in high school. And I just kind of got my zest for that. But eventually, the schooling, I'm not very good at math. So you got to do calculus and some serious math courses. And I couldn't even get through basic college math a couple times. So I started leaning more toward the behind-the-scenes stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was right after I graduated high school, I actually went to the studios when they were located in Florence, and kind of saw a director do a newscast And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, to be in control of all that on the air.
You're a control freak, are you?
Control freak, absolutely. Well, we have to be. Most directors are. So directors, producers, most people in this business have that
You got to be able to see
inkling.
like 9 things at once.
Exactly. And so that's kind of, I saw that and was just like, whoa, I love that. And they just so happened to have, I worked up over a couple of years, but eventually a directing position came open when the station moved down here, and they were like, do you want to be our weekend director? And I was like,
well, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, we'll pick it up from there after
All
the
right.
break, because without what we're doing right now, there'd be no point in you showing up next week. I mean, it's fine to get a check, but there's, this is how we get them.
yes.
And we encourage you to support our sponsors as well, because they're laying it out on the line so we can make more River Talk coming up next. Welcome back to River Talk. If your job is so important, why aren't you doing it right now, Robbie?
Well, that's because Nick's over there filling in for me. So,
You think Nick could fill in and do what I do?
Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to
I'm not
see
even
him.
going to let him have a chance at it. Oh,
Are you afraid
man.
somebody might take your job?
Yeah, you know it. I'm because it says River Talk with Jack Murphy.
Well, they can just change that title.
Exactly.
So,
You know how easy it is, because that's
exactly.
what you do. And so, every time I come and do this show, I try to treat it as if it were my last, because it could very well be for a lot of different circumstances.
Well, you never know. I may know something you don't. So,
So you went over to Florence, and it's interesting that the migration came inland for the television studios. So you're here in Myrtle Beach, and you're hanging out over there in Billy Huggins' world.
oh yeah. Well, and Billy Huggins invested a lot in me, and more than I had confidence in myself at the time. Because I went from weekend director to main director in about a year, and then all of a sudden he took me out to dinner one day and was like, I want you to be my next production manager. That was like, okay, and I was like, I think I was like 20.
Billy's
21.
never taken me to dinner.
Oh, we'll see, there you go.
I mean, he offered me to come by his campsite at a campground once and
But
have a brat, but wow.
well, he took me to the old creek rats, so yeah.
Oh yeah, you know that creek rat story, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. He really went a lot out of pocket. Thanks, Billy. So anyway, so Billy kind of invested a lot in you, had some confidence in you.
Yes. And I had about 6-7 years production manager, and was kind of on the top, and we did a lot of stuff. Hurricane coverage was most memorable to me. We did a lot of debates and election coverage, even a couple talk shows. I've directed a few things.
Yeah.
And it was great. Had a good time.
Well, it's kind of weird because, I mean, it is a close-knit family. I mean, and even at other stations, folks in the television, radio industry, I mean, we kind of, our paths kind of cross. We work on projects together and separate. And, I worked with you on some of the debates, which was kind of weird, through Ralph McLeod. And then, I worked with Ralph a long time, and Donald. So it's all kind of crazy how we're all kind of connected.
Well, everything kind of comes together. Because, I mean, there was a picture that I think we took of that debate a couple of years ago when that happened, and it's funny when I look at the picture now, it's like, well, I work with all those guys now. I didn't back then, but it's
well, you've reached the pinnacle now. You've worked with the top banana, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You have arrived, baby. This is where it's happening right here. But it is kind of cool because you're a nut for the business. I mean, you're a fan of the industry, and I can tell that because we were talking when you worked behind the scenes at the HTC Real Kids, and you were telling me that you had this fascination with air checks, which is kind of like the radio side of things, where you just have the recordings of newscasters and disc jockeys and that sort of stuff. And you put together a compilation of some of the old WPDE footage through the years, which I just think is just incredible, because I love that historical side of stuff.
Yeah, some of it I grew up watching anyways, and to me that was the most exciting thing I ever did with PDE, was when I got to do our 30th anniversary reunion back then. And a lot of those people that I got to invite, meet, and interview and talk to were people that I had grown up watching on TV. So it was really cool to kind of like have them, my influences, come in and meet them and kind of get to talk to them a little bit.
Well, we got to spend a little time doing a live sporting event back in March of, earlier this year. And so now you kind of come on board in August, fill a void, and you're part of the team now, and we got all kinds of exciting stuff.
Yes, it's great.
You're going to learn a lot about me. You're going to learn things that you probably didn't want to know. But you're going to spend a lot of time with me and the whole gang. And so, man, it's been a good transition. I think we had a good team here.
I agree too, and I'm loving everything right now, and I'm learning a lot, you know, on both sides, but it's great kind of.
How's your video game skills? I mean, they picked up a little bit too. I mean, your gaming skills work?
Yes, I do still play video games every now and then. I know our boss is back there rolling his eyes at me right now. But some video games every now and then. I'm not a religious player though, I don't play a lot, so every now and then.
Yeah. Well, we have one on board.
Yeah, well, from what I understand, Nick's a pretty big one.
Yeah, he's able to actually do all that technical director stuff and still manage to play a little game on his PDA there. It's crazy. Well, good seeing you, man.
Thanks
for sharing. So what's next? I mean, well, we don't want to answer that question. Could happen sooner because I know things you don't know. Merry Christmas. It was nice working with you. Kidding. That was mean of me, wasn't it?
Yes, very mean.
I do mean stuff all the time. It's usually to Nick, though, but why not share the love? More behind the scenes. River Talk continues after this. Thanks, Robbie.